In a land not marked on maps, where cliffs rise like jagged teeth over swirling seas, and forests whisper secrets in languages long forgotten, the greatest love story ever told begins not with a kiss but with a farm boy and a simple phrase, "As you wish." This is not a story of kings and empires, though there are kings, and there are empires. It is not a story of knights and dragons, though swords will clash and monsters will roar. This is a story of love, true love, and all that stands in its way. It is a story of adventure, betrayal, miracles, death, and resurrection. A story that pretends to be light but burns with a deep and timeless fire. At the heart of this tale is a girl named Buttercup. She is not a princess, at least not at first, but she is beautiful in the effortless, untamed way of wildflowers and wind-blown skies. On her family's farm lives a boy named Wesley, a farmhand with eyes like quiet storms and a soul that waits. He obeys her every command without complaint, answering only with the same 3 words each time. "As you wish," but behind those words lies something unspoken, something growing. For each time he says "as you wish," what he means is "I love you," and one day, she understands. Just as simply as sunlight understands the seed, it takes no ceremony, no fanfare. Only a realization, she loves him too. But love, in stories such as this, never flows without obstacles. Wesley leaves the farm to seek fortune so that they might marry. He boards a ship and sails into the unknown, but word comes that his vessel is taken by the dread pirate Roberts, a name spoken in fear across the seas. And everyone knows the dread pirate Roberts takes no prisoners. Wesley, they say, is dead. Buttercup's heart does not break. It calcifies. She retreats into silence, into sorrow. Years pass, and with them, the shape of her life changes. She becomes the unwilling bride to be of Prince Humperdinck, a man of royal lineage and none of the nobility. Cold, calculating, and brutal, he chooses Buttercup not for love, but for image. She will be a jewel on his crown, nothing more. Yet destiny, even when cruel, is rarely quiet. One day, on a quiet ride through the countryside, Buttercup is kidnapped by 3 strangers, a genius, a giant, and a swordsman. They are mercenaries of sorts, men with their own codes, their own past. Vitsini, sharp-tongued and overconfident, leads them. Fezzik, a gentle giant with fists like hammers and a poet's heart, follows. And Inigo Montoya, a swordsman born of vengeance, haunted by the memory of a 6-fingered man who murdered his father, moves with quiet precision. Their mission is not what it seems. Buttercup is to be used framed for political purposes, sacrificed to incite war. But someone follows them, a masked man in black, climbing cliffs with his bare hands, outwitting traps, disarming swordsmen, overpowering giants. He moves like fate. One by one, he defeats them not with cruelty, but respect. He acknowledges their strength, their skill, their pain. He bests them and spares them. And then, at last, he stands before Buttercup. She knows that voice. She knows that presence. Though he hides behind cloth and legend, her heart remembers. Wesley is alive. He was not killed by the dread pirate Roberts. He became him. A title passed down from one man to the next, a legend worn like a mask. He tells her how he survived, how he fought to return to her. But love is not enough to end the story. They are pursued. By Humperdinck. By soldiers. By death itself. The fire swamp waits ahead, filled with quicksand, flame bursts, and creatures whose names are whispered, not spoken. Yet, through it all, they fight together. For the first time in years, they are no longer waiting for fate. They are fighting it. But fate, as ever, fights back. They are caught. Wesley is taken. Tortured in secret. Humperdinck, in his jealousy and cruelty, seeks not only to kill him but to break him, piece by piece. In the pit of despair, where no sound escapes and pain is science, Wesley is pushed beyond endurance. Buttercup, believing he will be freed as she obeys, agrees to marry Humperdinck. But she underestimates the depth of his deception. The prince intends to murder her on their wedding night, to frame another kingdom, and start a war that will make him a hero. Meanwhile, Inigo Montoya and Fezzik, discarded by their former employer, find purpose once more. Inigo still seeks a man with 6 fingers. He has trained all his life for vengeance, but vengeance is empty without justice. Together, they find Wesley's broken body, drained of life. But in this world, Death is not always the end. Wesley is mostly dead, which is to say slightly alive. And slightly alive is enough for a miracle. A reluctant healer, miracle worker by trade, revives him not for gold or glory, but for a true love. And so the final act begins: a castle, a wedding, a prince with a knife, a plan filled with holes, a swordsman with unfinished business, and a man who cannot move his limbs but still outsmarts them all. Inigo finds his enemy, the six-fingered man who slaughtered his father in cold blood. The duel is not perfect. It is bloody, desperate, and raw. Inigo bleeds. He falters. But through pain, through rage, through decades of longing, he rises. He defeats the man not with hatred, but with purpose. Not as a killer, but as a son. Wesley, revived but fragile, holds Humperdinck at bay with wit alone. He does not strike him down. He does not need to. He has already won. Love, loyalty, and wit have triumphed over cruelty, manipulation, and deceit. And Buttercup no longer just a damsel, no longer a pawn, chooses freedom. Together, with Wesley, Inigo, and Fezzik, she escapes into the night. They ride not into the sunset, but into the unknown, alive, free, and together. But what does it mean? At its surface, The Princess Bride is a fairy tale. A swashbuckling, romantic, ironic pastiche of fantasy tropes. But underneath the humor and the swordplay lies something rare, a story that mocks sentimentality but still believes in love. A story that plays with genre and cliché but never forgets the beating heart inside the story. It is a love story that is not about perfect people, but about persistence. It's about fighting for what matters even when the world mocks you for it. It's about laughing at the absurdity of pain while still acknowledging that pain is real. It's about friendship that holds you up when your legs give out. About revenge tempered by honor. About stories within stories told not to distract, but to connect. And above all, it's about true love. Not just romantic love, but love as devotion. Love as sacrifice. Love as survival. Wesley and Buttercup are not idealized lovers. They fight, they falter, they separate. But they believe? Not blindly, not foolishly, but fiercely. Inigo's story, too, is love for a father, kept alive through grief and steel. Fezzik's story is love for companionship, for being understood, for not being alone. Even Vizzini, with his cowardice and cleverness, is a reflection of a world where intellect is used to dominate, not uplift. And the frame the story told to a sick boy by his grandfather reminds us of the power of stories to heal, to connect generations, to make us laugh when we want to cry. The boy resists the kissing parts, but slowly, he listens. Slowly, he learns that fairy tales are not just for children. Therefore, anyone who still believes that courage matters, that love wins. The Princess Bride is satire with a soul, a comedy with teeth, a fantasy that never loses sight of reality. And in the end, it's a story that dares to say, without irony, true love is the greatest thing in the world.